Have you ever wondered what to do before you actually go on vacation? If you want to know more, stay tuned. Welcome to another episode of Travel Tip Wednesday. Today we are actually going to talk about preparation before going on vacation. I am your host, Steven. Preparing for a vacation is a very daunting task, but today we are actually going to simplify these tasks. There's actually two types of travel where we're going to talk about today. One is international and one is domestic. Both are very similar, but as well very different. First, we're actually going to talk about international travel. International travel is a little bit more complicated because every time you visit another country, there's different sets of rules that you have to follow before traveling to that location. One of the major things you actually need to travel international, you need a passport. A passport is actually one of those basic travel items that is actually mandatory to use when you're actually traveling internationally. It doesn't matter which border it is, you need to have a passport. While having a passport, make sure it actually is okay, it's not expired, or it has the necessary visas to enter that particular country where you actually are traveling to. Also, while traveling overseas, you actually need to exchange some money before you enter the country of your destination. There are ATMs, you could take out money from the ATM machine, or you could actually exchange them. I actually made a video on how to save money while traveling overseas, so I'm gonna leave the link on the description down below or a card right here. If you are actually going to use credit cards and debit card when you're actually traveling internationally, make sure to call your bank or the credit card company in order for they allow access for you to use the credit cards in the international destination. If you don't call and you try to use your credit card, chances are the bank or the credit card company is going to block your card thinking that it got stolen. So it's best to actually call ahead and tell them, hey, I'm going to travel to such destination in such dates. So they actually put it down in their system and normally you're not going to have an issue. Cell phones. If you're actually going to take a cell phone, try to take a GSM based cell phone, because normally the majority, about 99% of the countries around the world, they use GSM networks. So if you have a GSM cell phone, and especially if it's unlocked, you could use it over there, and you could actually buy a SIM card and use the local provider over there. You're actually gonna save a lot of money. And of course, unless if you're on T-Mobile, where you can use your phone overseas without getting charged extra, I recommend you using T-Mobile as well. If you don't have T-Mobile, make sure that your phone is compatible to be used overseas, and make sure it's unlocked as well, and buy a SIM card from the local provider over there. It's very cheap, and cell phone services are extremely cheap over there overseas as well. One of the most important safety features is to give the location or the address of where you're going to be staying overseas to a relative or a close friend, and also give their number, because just in case something happened to you, there is some type of trait that notify authorities where are your location, where you should be at, or in what number you should be actually using. So giving your number and your address where you're going to be staying overseas is very important as a safety tip to any of your closest relative or your closest friend. Before you travel to another country, make sure you have the necessary vaccinations, because some countries you actually need vaccination. There's some countries that are very high in yellow fever. Make sure you have any other types of vaccination that is available, but make sure you actually are healthy and safe before you travel to that location. Make sure you also have plenty of medications for you to take to your trip overseas. If you ran out of medication while you're overseas, it's on you. Or if there's a pharmacy that is allowed to sell you medication without a prescription, you're in good luck. And this is a last tip about traveling overseas. It is actually good to get to know the culture and the customs of that country when traveling overseas, because there are like certain etiquettes that it might be an offense to them that is normal to us. I have a video made up that is called How Not to Offend People. And now here are some tips on how to travel domestically. Traveling domestically does not have the same weight as traveling internationally. You do not need a passport to travel domestically, but yes, you need a government issue ID in order to travel. Some of the rules from the international part applies to the domestic, such as food, medicine, clothing. Make sure you take your cell phone. And also the big one is the credit card. Even though you're not traveling internationally, but make sure you call your credit card company and your bank just before you travel to any places within the same country. And also pack very well for your trip. Depending on your destination, you may be going to a beach destination, a mountain destination, or a desert destination. Make sure you take the adequate clothing. And some of those tips that I just mentioned, there are also in other videos that I created. I'm gonna leave those links to those videos on those small boxes that I always leave at the end of the video, just so you can see them and know about what to do when you travel internationally or domestically. And that is it for today on Travel Tip Wednesday. I was your host, Steven, and until next time, safe travels.